Why, hello, this is Peggy. I'm back again with another video, and today's topic is hostile interactions. So this one's a little bit different because I'm going to tell you this factually because I know that this is a fact. Now, but I'm going to be all kinds of convoluted, so just strap in, here's the ride. Okay. I know for a fact that companies that operate online have policies about hostile interactions. I know this for a fact because I've worked for two other large corporations in their call centers. So, well, I worked for more than just the two, but these were the two big ones. Okay. Now, these were American companies, and I cannot for the life of me imagine how or why Etsy would not have a similar policy. Okay. So, how this works is if an account holder is hostile, they lose their account. It's that simple. Now, what does it take? Well, I don't know. I do know that Etsy will terminate your account if you are swearing at the customers, like calling them names, like not just saying, "Oh, I don't know what the fuck happened." You put it in type, "I don't know what the fuck happened, but I'll look into it." You're not going to lose your account for that. You're a fucking scammer, and I'm not giving you a fucking cent. Fuck you. You're losing your account for that if they catch you talking like that to customers, you're going to lose your account over it. I already know this. Now, do I know exactly what Etsy's criteria are? No. No, I don't. I don't work for Etsy. I don't know what their exact criteria are. But I know that if you are hostile to the customers, you will have a bad time. I don't know what it takes to get caught. I don't know whether they have a 1-strike policy or a 3-strike policy on it. I have no idea. So, I'm going to talk from the perspective of the other companies that I've worked for that are also large multinational corporations and what their policies were and how that worked. So, it's really simple. A hostile interaction is where somebody is being not just a bad interaction. We're not talking about, I think this seller is being mean to me. This is a seller is going, "You're a scammer. You can't have a refund. I don't give refunds to scammers. You're a criminal. You shouldn't be on here." That's a hostile interaction, okay? Now, if you say, "I'm not able to give you a refund," and the customer gets offended, that's not a hostile interaction. You're telling them no and they don't like it. That's different, okay? And this is how it works. This is how it works, and the reason why I'm doing this video is because I encounter on a far too regular basis sellers who, "Oh, I just told my customer this. Oh, you should," or somebody comes in asking for help. "Oh, you should just tell your customer that." That's what I tell my customers when they're being that way. I just tell them flat out that I'm not tolerating their bullshit. It's like, do you literally put that in writing for them? It's like, "Oh yeah, I literally say I don't take bullshit from customers and you're not getting a refund because I don't feel that you deserve it." Like, you don't get to feel if you can feel that a customer doesn't deserve the refund while still recognizing that they're staying within the guidelines and you kind of don't have a choice. This is a hard one. I'll be probably talking about that sort of stuff later because I talk about everything. I don't know. So I don't know what the guidelines are on Etsy or Poshmark or Mercado or any of the other platforms. They all have policies around this. Amazon has policies around it. Because these platforms, especially if they have a built-in, these platforms put a lot of time, energy, and money into attracting customers. Okay? When you're shitty to a customer, they leave and they don't come back. This is why I know this is why the policy exists. This is why I know it's real. This is why I know Etsy does it. And I've worked at two other big call centers and know exactly how this is done behind the scenes. And I know, I can't say exactly because I don't know exactly what Etsy does or how it's doing it. But I do know that this is a very big behind the scenes thing. And Etsy is an online business. So yes, it's big. It's big and it's important. And do people lose their shops for this? All the fucking time. Etsy shut me down and I don't know why. It's like, well, is it because you shit? And don't forget, when people come into the social media platforms looking for help and advice, they quite often provide screenshots. "Hey, this is going on. What should I do?" And it's like, why did you say that to your customer? That's going to get you in trouble if they report you. No, it won't. It's my business and I can talk to my customers any way I like. And that's usually the attitude that starts the downhill spiral of hostile interactions and ultimately losing your business over it. Because if you call me a fucking scammer or tell me I'm a piece of shit or tell me that I don't give refunds to people like you, whatever that may mean, and I go make a report to Etsy, not only will I get my refund for customer satisfaction, which is another thing that they do, but you'll get a strike for hostile interaction, for being hostile when you don't need to be. Because per Etsy, you've got, okay, per large corporations, you have no reason to be hostile ever. That's the company line in any company. Okay? So you come in, I'm a small business and I can do whatever I want to protect my bottom line. And if I think this is happening, I just tell it like it is. And I do this and I do that. And it's like, if you really are doing those things, you're probably going to ultimately lose your shop over it. Sooner or later, somebody's going to complain. I mean, I'm an experienced seller and I know the rules. If I come into your shop and buy something and it's like, oh, hey, this is the wrong color. What do we want to do about that? Oh, I think you're just lying to me and I think you're just trying to scam me for free stuff and you're just a scammer and I don't deal with scammers and I'm not going to sell to you. If you start that with me because you, I don't know, I say nuance is impossible. It is impossible to inject nuance, emotion, whatever. So I've given you a generic inquiry, but for some reason you've taken it wrong and think I'm accusing you and you launch back like that. I can make a report, abuse@etsy.com, right? And I would. I would. I'm not being a dick and I'm not threatening anybody. If you were to come at me calling me names, making accusations, calling me a scammer, doing all of this stuff, I'm going to have a problem and the company is going to have to fix it. This is why they have a no tolerance. This is why, I can't say no tolerance. Their tolerance policy, whatever level of tolerance they're choosing to adopt, I don't know. But this is why companies have these policies. Okay, like the one company I was working for was a credit card company. I watched them take a person's account that was in arrears for months. They were in arrears. They were in the wrong. Did not deserve, okay, because there's all kinds of rules about how you deal with credit cards, right? For customer satisfaction, they went in and wiped out months of debt with this guy and gave him a credit and wiped out his interest charges on a credit card that charges 20, what the fuck did Sears card? 20 some odd percent? Okay? I can say Sears, they're no longer in business, but I'm not gonna name the other company. So they came in and they had to wipe out a fuck ton of this guy's debt, a fuck ton of his legitimately owed interest. And this was a guy who was in arrears because he wasn't paying his bills. Because he called in, hey, why are you guys sending me this notice and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, and the rep started giving it back. Well, maybe if you paid your fucking bills, you wouldn't have this problem. It's like, what the fuck? Like the guy, I think it was a new guy. I can't remember whether he lost his job over it or not. Okay? But it was a huge fucking problem. And because this guy had been in arrears, but over the years he had been a good customer. And because because somebody on staff had now done this thing, it was a fucking problem. Okay? I've also seen the opposite happen. I've seen customers call in because of their credit card issue and start being abusive to the staff. And it's like the staff have said, hi, no, you can't, it's like, I'm not able to continue this call because of the way, I'll fucking talk to you any fucking way I want, you fucking this and you fucking that, and I'm going to come, if I could find your call center, I'd come down there and beat your ass, and all this fucked up shit, right? That person had their credit card canceled the next day. Because the employee said, yeah, this guy is really hostile. This is what happened. And then they reviewed the guy, and it's like, yeah, he's called in a few times. Every time he calls in, he pulls this crap to try and bully the staff, whatever. But he's hostile. So both from a customer and an employee perspective, hostility was not allowed, right? And again, the other company I worked for, the other big multinational company I worked for, same policies, same reasons. It costs a lot of money to attract in a customer. The customer is the guy that buys our shit. Okay? The guy that's buying my shit is also buying your shit. And the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy. You come along and be the asshat that treats this guy like garbage and he leaves. I want you gone too. Because you could be affecting my bottom line by being a dick to a customer who's also my customer. This is a shared customer database. Somebody who's coming in buying bags from me isn't only, and maybe some of them are. Sometimes that happens when you're driving your own traffic. But people that are coming in buying from me are also buying other things online. And Etsy would like them to stay on Etsy If I call one of my customers a fucking piece of shit for whatever reason whatsoever, and I start using hostile language and we're not talking about, I'm sorry, I can't give you a refund. We're talking about overtly hostile language. So this is a very easy problem to avoid. Super easy to avoid. You don't talk to your customers that way. You're putting it in writing. It's there forever. It's not something you popped off with. Now in a call center, it's different, but all calls are recorded. Every single call in a call center is recorded. It's just whether or not they get reviewed. And if there's a complaint, they'll pull the call. But the thing is that, and I've worked in a few environments where everything was in writing instead of on the phones too. So thing is, if you are overtly hostile to your customers, they don't care why. They don't care why. There are other ways to communicate with a customer, whether you like it or not, because the company, if you are having problem with a customer and you think that person is scamming you and you think that person's a problem and you think there's something that needs to be dealt with, report them. Etsy is the one who wants to be, Etsy as the platform is like, we will make the final decision as to who gets to be on the platform. You don't get to make that decision by bullying somebody off the platform, whether or not that bullying is deserved. Because Etsy's only going to see it one way. We spent millions of dollars to attract these customers. We decide whether or not they get shown the door. Okay? That's where the thinking is coming from. So does Etsy have a policy about you as a seller being hostile to your particular buyer if things go wrong? Yes, they absolutely do. Do people lose their accounts because they treat their customers badly? Yes, they absolutely do. I cannot tell you the rules. I don't have access to their background, but I'll tell you right now, every company that I've worked for that I've had access to their background, the rules have been pretty similar. Pretty similar. And that is, if you're having a problem with a customer, report it. Report it. If you are being the problem, and don't forget, if I'm screaming at you, I'm already an asshole. If I'm screaming, oh, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're trying to rip me off. You're a shitty seller. You're doing this. Your products suck. I'm going to give you a low review. If I'm already screaming this shit at you, if I am already mouthing off like that, I'm already a red flag. I'm a fucking asshole if I'm doing that to you, right? So you giving it right back, what do assholes do? Well, I'm the customer and the customer's always right. I'm reporting you as a hostile seller. You are more, okay, and here's the weird part. This is something else. This is something else that happens. Sellers are like, I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm going to ignore this guy's behavior, right? Buyers are like already being dicks. This is, a buyer is more likely to report a shitty seller than a seller is to report a shitty buyer. And the buyers outnumber us like what, 10 to 1? 10 to 1, 12 to 1, something like that. Okay? So we are outnumbered. And as a buyer, I don't want the drama. I don't want the hassle. I don't want Etsy to think I'm the one who started this. I see that a lot. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want Etsy to take, especially like, okay, people that sell Disney and other copyright shit, they won't report you no matter how mean, how you can go off on those guys every day, all day long. They're not going to report you because they don't want Etsy taking a look at all the copyright infringement that they've got. If they don't ship on time, if they're constantly, if somebody's already breaking the rules, they're not going to report you because they don't want Etsy they don't want to trigger an account review and have Etsy find out what they've been doing behind the scenes. So that's a whole separate thing. And I'm not saying buyers are assholes because there's 7.5 million of us. Sellers. I'm not saying sellers are assholes. There's 7.5 million of us. And yeah, you can't go through the mall without finding that one guy. If you go to every business in the mall, you're going to find that one business. Well, these guys are dicks. You're going to find it. You're going to find it if you're looking for it, but that's not everybody. And they don't last. They don't last because people start reporting them. Anyway, hostile interaction. So what is a hostile interaction? A hostile interaction is not just you arguing with the customer. It's like, I'm sorry, this is, I'm sorry that your package is missing, but you do need to contact Canada Post. I'm not fucking contacting them. This is your fucking problem. This is your fucking fault. It's like, I'm sorry, until you contact Canada Post, there's nothing further I can do to help you. Okay. You come back and you go, I don't care what you think, but you need to, I don't care what you think, contact customer post or I'm just not doing anything for you. That's hostile. So what degree of hostile? Well, that can be considered hostile. It's probably not enough to lose your shop over it, But if that's how you always talk to all of your customers every time they contact you, then it could build up into a bigger case. Anyway, this is a really simple problem to solve. Mind your P's and Q's. Remember that everything's in writing, and what's in writing is there forever. Mind your P's and Q's. Go into the forums. Hey, I need to respond to this guy in a way that's not going to escalate. I'm looking for a polite way to tell this customer that I can't help him. I'm looking for this customer is saying these things to me, and I really want to give a polite response because I have a feeling this is going to escalate, and I really don't want Etsy to see me as part of the problem. It's really easy to solve. Social media forums. I would personally recommend that every single Etsy seller be a member of at least one social media forum, for the simple fact of having, and Etsy has their own onboard forum too. Learn how at least find one that you like, that seems to give decent advice that you feel is useful. Take a little time, whatever. Find at least one social media forum that's dedicated to helping sellers do better. And have that as a resource. That way, if something happens, you can just go in and say, hey, this happened. How can I respond to it? And don't just go in, my customer's an asshole and I don't know how to tell him to fuck off. Because you go in with that kind of an attitude. If you go into the regular social medias with that kind of an attitude, you're going to get people falling all over themselves to tell you exactly how to tell your customer to fuck off, because disgruntled sellers is a thing. Frustrated sellers, angry sellers, sellers who want to make $1,000 a week and they're only making $1,000 a year. They're pretty frustrated, and they're pretty quick to egg everybody on. But depends on what group you're in. I have a group that doesn't allow it. But anyway, and yeah, if you want to join my group, Etsy Canada, knock yourself out. But don't be a shithead, because I'll get you right back out again. Anyway. So, does Etsy remove sellers for hostile interactions? Yes. They also remove buyers for the same reason. Are they quicker to remove sellers than buyers? Yes. Sellers are the ones that bring in the money. Sellers are the ones that have the wallets. Sellers are the ones with their credit cards out. We pay fees based on what they're buying from us. We pay if they don't buy from us, then we don't pay fees, unless we're advertising or doing other stuff, right? So yeah. Customers are technically more important. Like they make their money off of my fees. They want me to be happy, but I make my money off of the customers that they've paid hundreds of millions of dollars to attract to the platform. That's where that gets important. But anyway, so hostile interaction is, like I said, I don't know what their criteria is, but it's really obvious stuff. Don't put fuck off in writing for you're a bad customer, fuck off. Don't put that in writing. That is absolutely hostile. You can't pretend it's not. And I don't even know Etsy might call it negative interactions. They might call it whatever. I've heard the term I've heard most often is hostile interactions, and I've heard it in multiple environments. That's why I'm using it. I have no idea if Etsy even uses that term at all, because like I said, I have no idea what Etsy's doing. I have no access to the background of Etsy, but I can guarantee you that they're doing it. I can guarantee that you're doing it. And if you are if you are in a multinational, if you work for a multinational, if you're already in a call center, ask around. If you work at a call center, ask around. You'll find out that I'm telling you the truth. Customers, they'll put up with a lot more from the customers than they will from the sellers, than the people that are providing the service. But they have a reason. I don't like the reasons. I wish it was easier to get rid of these shitbag customers too, because they give a bad name to everybody. They really do. Customer comes in, they're unhappy with the product, and your first thought was, oh my God, is this guy going to be a problem? Instead of like, oh, there's a problem, I need to solve it. We don't think like that anymore. We think, oh my God, is this guy going to be a dick? And that makes it really hard to go, let's deal with the problem, instead of, oh my God, I have to put up with the dick. So I'm lucky I haven't had to deal with any of that. But like I said, I brought certain experiences with me from other environments, and I think that that's done me very, very well. And I think that's made it really, really easy for me to have positive experiences. So that's part of it too. But anyway, this really isn't a huge topic. I'm just trying to make sure it gets fully installed through repetition, because the number of sellers, I am really surprised by the number of sellers who get absolutely ignorant with their customers and have no idea that it could even cause a problem. It's my business. I can talk to my customers any way I want. And it's like, it's Etsy's sandbox. and they're Etsy's customers. It's Etsy's sandbox and I'm renting space on the platform. That's how it works. So if your behavior and how you run your business starts driving away their customer base, they are going to have a huge fucking problem with you. So, and again, I wish it was easier to get rid of problematic customers, but I do understand why I don't like understanding something doesn't obligate you to like it. I understand the policy and I understand how this works because I've seen it working firsthand in other environments and in regular customer service environments. Like I was there the one day when a customer comes screaming into the store, mouthing off the staff, and the customer got told to leave and never come back. And I've also been in there when the customer came in with a problem and the staff started it, and the staff got told to not come back. So I've seen it in person. I've seen it online. I know these policies exist. I know why they're there. Don't get caught up in don't get caught up in somebody else's I can do whatever I want mentality and make critical mistakes that are going to cost you down the road. Because like I said, this is why customers minding his own business, something's going wrong that's not a problem. And for some reason it's triggered an account review. Etsy comes in and goes, no, we don't allow that. I mean, and it's a fairly safe assumption to say that that's happened, where something else has called Etsy's attention to your account, and then they've realized what you're up to, and that's when they decide to get rid of you. Because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that Etsy's not going to find out about unless it's reported, which means that certain things, if Etsy finds out it's going on, they're not going to turn their back on it when it does come to their attention, because it's like, hey, this could get this is already happening. We're not going to sit around and let it get even worse. Anyway, it's not a threat. It's an observation. It's an observation of a provable fact. At least I think it's a provable fact. And again, this is my perspectives, my opinions, blah, 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 blah. I should start every video with that, but I'm lazy, so whatever. Anyway, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do the thing. I'm trying to take over the world one subscriber at a time and need your help. And in the meantime, I am going to let you get going, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.